panel discussion focuses on the unique moment in history that we find ourselves in. And most importantly, Indian business enterprises have a very pivotal role to play in driving transformation across all the spheres of growth, sustainability, and inclusivity. So in this session, we'll actually get to see leaders deliberate on how they are meeting the ever-demanding challenges of the business landscape, keeping people and sustainability at the center of it all. We also know that the leaders must channel their collective wisdom in order to create a new operating model to navigate the dynamic market realities. And they must discover this new world of work while being respectful and curious about employee perspectives and sustainability needs. So on that note, I hope all of us are gearing up for a very interesting panel discussion coming your way. That being said, let me also once again remind all of you to keep participating in the conversations using the hashtag influential leaders, right up there as well for your reference. And please do so. You can tweet about it and you can share your thoughts as well about the entire evening, all the insights that you're gathering here. Moving ahead, looks like the stage is almost set, so let's go ahead and quickly invite our speakers. Let's get them to also share their nuggets of insights with us. To spearhead the panel discussion and to moderate it, we have with us Swayamjit Mishra, partner, BCG India. So Swayamjit will be responsible in extracting all the insights from his fellow panelists. So warm welcome to you, Swayamjit. And with that, I'm going to quickly invite our esteemed panelists. We have with us Arun Batra, Client Service Leader, EY Global Delivery Services. We have with us Balfour Manuel, Managing Director, Blue Dart. Shankar Jadhav, Managing Director, BSE Investments and Head Strategy, BSE. Umar Ali Sheikh, Chief Executive Officer, Atos India and member of Thought Leaders of India. We'd like to inform you that Mr. Amit, who's the Managing Director and CEO of Avanti Financial Services, could not make it due to last-minute exigencies. But that being said, a warm welcome indeed to all of our panelists, and can we also welcome them with a huge round of applause, everyone. I'm going to request all our panelists to take your seats, and I'll hand it over to Swayamjit. Over to you.
Thank you so much. We've had really 3 master classes that have summarized, starting with sustainability, and of course, then we deep dive into a very pertinent topic around diversity and inclusion. Now the latest discussion that summarized it all in a way from Anirban around ESG. Now that brings me to where most management consultants start, which is how do we create profit while balancing these 2 equations. Now classically, they have always been 2 things that we had to manage: business profits, which are needed for our boards, our investors, and the recent focus on sustainability. Now you also are facing for the first time a challenge around employee morale, a challenge around how do we manage them. So I'll throw this open to you for your opening remarks. And of course, with the 4 of you, we have such a diverse set of perspectives. So let's maybe start. You want to take it forward, Umar?
Yeah. Good evening to all, and I must thank the organizers for inviting me. It's an honor. I have been, I would say, a frequent member of such forums in the past, and my gratitude. Well, just to answer your question, I think the very question that we want to, explore the possibilities of profit, keeping sustainability in mind or ESG in mind. Why are we asking this question? First point. Second point is that organizations are made of thought leaders who are very well aware about how to run their business. And I always say that business is all about correction. You tend to, do mistakes. You tend to, face hurdles, and then you correct. Successful businesses have ensured that they have corrected themselves quickly and on time. So, if we have a challenge, or we feel that we have a challenge, that to remain profitable, we need to change the modality of the way we are conducting business. Then again, it's a challenge, and success of business is about dealing with that challenge. So it should be natural for any organization, any leader or leadership team or any organization for that matter to attach it and not see it different at all and take it as a integral part of their everyday doing business, because it is not possible for us to conduct business. And Mr. Ghosh was telling, Anirban was telling just now that what is the purpose of the business? That we make positive influence and positive differences in people's life. And if that is why you are there, then this is a very integrated topic. I don't even think that we need to try and detach and discuss it in two different buckets.
Shankar?
Maybe I'll answer your question in a different manner. What happens is when you are struggling yourself, you don't think about helping others. You don't think about the problems in a macro fashion. So most of the organizations that you see who look at profits first or something else first, business first, is due to that. For instance, we are a 150-year-old organization. We've seen all these ups and downs. We are quite strong enough. At this point of time, yes, organizations start looking at how they contribute to the society or to their own people. Maybe I can give you another perspective. We are today in the world of startups and everyone wants to start new. I think the focus is somewhere else. Like when I'm in office, my focus is on my work. When I'm at home, my role is different, so my focus would be different. India has to grow quite large. We've just crossed the milestone of being the third largest economy. I feel that we are still far away from being a per capita income level from the middle level. It's a very long way to go. We have made a start. There's also another point that one should make. India also has this one thing called CSR, which is 2% of a profit-making company. Do you know why it is there in this country and why not other countries, say like developed nations? One of the reasons is we've been poor for quite a long, maybe because someone else ruled over us, because we had smaller kingdoms. We have stopped thinking about helping others. Even today, we still think of I, we, myself, our country, our economy. We have to start thinking further away. We have been quite big in that sense, like for instance, the United Nations peacekeeping force. We have contributed quite a lot. I remember the days when our governments have supported other governments. We have to still look at it. At the same time, I think because as a nation, we have to be strong enough. We have to stand on our own feet. That focus is a little different. But we are coming there. As Anirban spoke or Vivek ji spoke about how we are looking at the world and how we'll sustain. I think the start has been made and the regulators and the government are really doing well. We are measuring it in our own way. For instance, you must have seen that SEBI, the regulator, has mandated something called Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report. Until last year, it was only responsibility. This year, they've added sustainability. We look at governance. Yes, we had proposed a rule that there will be more diversity in the boards. Unfortunately, we are still not ready and it ought to be made voluntary that time. I hope to see soon the number of ladies and other people increase in the boardrooms and more views coming up. Thank you.
Balfour.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. It's a question of survival. You need EBIT. You need to be sustainable. It's a question of survival. It's no more cliche. ESG is no more mystery. More and more people are aware. And just to give you some indication, the commitment that we have 3 initiatives under which we, Blue Dart. So it is Go Teach for educational, Go Green for plantation of trees, and Go Help for the social. Anything that's social we do. But just to give you an idea, for the last 7 years, we are planting 111,000 trees every year. And we are counting. And how much are we contributing? Just to give you another picture, Blue Dart belongs to a global logistics leader called Deutsche Post DHL. Just to give you a number, last year we did a profit of 8 billion. Our commitment to environment, committed in public domain till 2030 is 7 billion euros. Now, one more number, we are probably the first organization globally to go and buy place an order for 12 electric aircrafts, electric cargo aircrafts. Now, these are things just I'm throwing up because people may not know, but we're buying electric aircrafts, cargo aircrafts. I've seen one of them, but they are yet in production. But that's the kind of commitment people are. It's a question of survival. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Arun,
Thank
please.
you. Great question. So I'll actually just want to start off with 2 important points. At the beginning of the session, a date was mentioned, 28th of July, 2022. The only message that we can take from that is that the current rate of development or the current method of development is definitely not sustainable. So that is ground stakes, it's established. Second is your core question alluded between profitability or employee morale. I don't think it is either or, it is and I'll explain that. Keeping these philosophies in mind, given that it's a reality and it is not either or, in September 2020, 120 global organizations, some of the largest organizations in the world, supported by professional services organizations, including EY, laid out a set of 21 sustainable capitalism metrics. Now, those 21 metrics, if you look at, they talk about governance, they talk about people, they talk about prosperity, and they talk about planet, right? And if you look at all the metrics around people, they link up to the social metrics as well, right? From a social impact when you talk of ESG. So to me, it is not either or. If you look at all those metrics that these organizations are reporting, including EY, we are able to show that one can be a high growth organization, a highly profitable organization, and an organization which can deliver exceptional employee experience. From an EY's perspective, of course, while we are not a listed company, but the results are out. $45 billion this year at a 16.8% growth and an employee experience of 82%. So all of these things are possible. And of course, there's a lot of work that the company is doing in terms of living up to its purpose. Our purpose is to build a better working world. Of course, there are many initiatives around that. So just wanted to emphasize this, not either or. It's all interlinked.
I think everyone is in unison here. Total societal impact is now as important as TSR, as total shareholder return. I think everyone on this panel echoes what I'm sure most of the leaders in the audience and beyond are thinking about. A couple of follow-on questions, and this makes it more specific to your last 3 years. Now, we have all witnessed what must be once in a millennia or once in several centuries event of the pandemic. BCG has, of course, been working with a variety of firms in helping shape their response. But how did you respond? And has that focus on sustainability, on employee and societal welfare evolved during the course of the last 3 years? Any specific insights from you and your experiences would be very enlightening. Please.
Well, I belong to a global IT leader, and as you all know that large IT organizations like us, multi-billion euro organizations, have got very, very large setups in India, as we call it global delivery centers. And we have got very, very people-intensive business. To start with, as I said in the beginning of my discussion, that business is all about corrections, and successful businesses are those who are able to try and correct themselves in the quickest possible time. Else we have seen enterprises who are worth $80 billion come down to less than $3 billion in 3-4 years' time. So as an organization, we obviously moved everybody back home. Okay, and it was successfully done. We have got thousands of employees here in India. But the point is, whether COVID or non-COVID. Of course, COVID gave us a very starking reality that if you are able to see the snow peaks from Saharanpur, which is like never thought of, and then that was really eyebrow raising, isn't it? I have been to Saharanpur, and then I also saw the picture of snow peaks from Saharanpur. I mean, that is the impact that environmental change that brought in. But the point here is it was already existing before. We did not know the power of change that sudden standstill situation of people not moving around because of COVID can bring in. I would say that COVID brought a very big wake-up call, so to speak, to us, saying that if we want to do, it is very much possible in shortest possible time. And I'm referring to environment here specifically. So from the perspective of Atos as an organization, yes, we completely aligned to the direction that we had as a geography or as a nation is concerned. And I would say that it only energized, as we say, we are world's #1 cybersecurity organization. And if someone asks me that what is the first thing that you need to do to remain cyber secure, what application, I said, no. First thing you need is to make people aware. You need to be aware that this particular email you are not able to open. And the most effective tool of remaining cyber secure is to ensure that you hammer on your employees' mind and your people's mind that, listen, you don't have to click, don't have to click, don't have to click. And likewise, what we only did as an organization is re-emphasized the already aware concept that we as an organization, our punchline is, decarbonize digital. We have our own net zero target, but we re-emphasized it during COVID. I think that is what we did. We did not do anything different, but we simply try and recondition our people's mind that, listen, we are responsible, we are providing IT services, it needs to be sustainable. Look at the effect of COVID to the environment. It has done wonders. We can also do that. I think that is what we did.
In the COVID, one of the biggest things that we realized that an economy runs on blood, and that blood in economy is money. So the first thing we realized is that the people will require money. So we conveyed to the government by various means that let's keep the exchanges running, let's keep the banking system running. And I think that was a big thing for people, especially after the effects of some of these disruptions like Notebandi, etc., when people were worried. So that is one thing that we did, and I'm really proud as BSE, we did continue people having access to their money. Second thing we did is, as Umar also pointed out, is that people had to start thinking that you can still run the companies, you can still run this economy without physically being present, except for services which require physical presence. And that was a big leap. I also come from the IT fraternity, especially cybersecurity area. So many of us were worried that there'll be leaks, there'll be disruptions, there'll be data loss, etc., etc. India as a country, including the lowest rural areas where the network connectivity is very low, we've started and developed various solutions. Today, the Indian economy is very, very formalized. It has almost doubled. This, I think, is a big thing. Third thing is, we always think of ourselves. We have to think of others. As an organization which has an old history, we realize that people require help and support. Not only our employees, but our vendors, employees, society as a whole. So almost every one of us, I'm sure, we started having COVID camps, the PCR tests, etc. Besides that, we also gave food. In fact, I'm very proud that our Indian government is still continuing to give people free food where it's required, because the after effects of that particular pandemic were very, very high. But these are small ways. We also gave some money for putting up oxygen plants and other things. But what is the biggest thing we did? And that, I think, all of us as Indians should know. We stood by each other. We helped each other. At that time, there was no differentiation between whether you are of this religion or that. No differentiation whether you stay in a small house or big house or on the roads. I think COVID brought us all together. Yeah. Unfortunately, once any crisis goes away, we have seen Indians just divide themselves. Oh, I am from IT side, I am from finance side. You don't have to talk about it. In fact, there was a petition in the Supreme Court, and rightfully so, the Supreme Court dismissed it, where people were discriminated against what they would eat or what they would advertise about eating, whether non-vegetarian or vegetarian. I think we have to get out of it. People have to learn to live and let live. This world belongs not only to humans, but all the various millions and billions and trillions of animals and the plants. I think we are taking away too much from it. We should try to reduce our expenditure. In fact, I'm also glad that the IT fraternity just recently did something with the blockchain called Merge. The proof of work was changed to proof of stakes. It's gone well, I say. We use lots of internet. Especially we want to see the news also in HD. We want to sit in an environment which is cooler. I can see everyone is feeling very cold. We have to start using or minimizing the use of energy. We should, of course, enjoy. But this is one thing that COVID has taught us. But after COVID, I hope that people don't forget it. Thank you.
Well, for yours was the bloodline of the entire nation, logistics as a sector in Blue Dart. So your perspectives on how you responded.
Yeah, I agree with you so much. I'll end up throwing some numbers so that you understand so COVID was the biggest learning for us in a decade. Just to give you some number, 14,000 employees direct, almost 30,000 employees indirect. During the COVID, you have to believe me, March 23 it hit us, April month. We were able to get 95% attendance. You may ask me why. Almost 25,000, 30,000 people on the street. If any one of you are users, you will know. But I believe no one leads an organization to success on its own. He needs people, he or she needs people. So it's committed employees that lead. So one of the things that we learned is that you take care of people, they'll take care of service, that will take care of profits. It's not something new, but we did that. In the month of April, I must be honest, we borrowed, but we made sure everybody's increments are paid, everybody's bonuses are paid. In the month of April, pandemic, everybody's promotions are done. The amount of energy that came into the workforce and the outsourced workforce is unbelievable. It was so contagious that even this morning there was a senior IPS officer in my office, very senior. Why is he coming? It's just the respect that we got during the COVID. The government of India requested us to fly our aircrafts to bring goods from China. We were flying every day into Wuhan and other locations, risky operations, Boeing 757s. Going there, our pilots could get stuck there. Sometimes we leave the cargo and we came back. These are all unique experiences we ever had. But the fact remains that the regulatory bodies, the local governments, including the police, were extremely cooperative, seeing that these guys are out there. The sad part is we had casualties. We had double-digit casualties, not because it happened in the office. We were very highly, so when our people would come to my home or I would meet them outside, they would be fully covered. Mask, double mask, gloves, you name it. And it was very, very sad to see them out there, but they were delivering a service. And I personally didn't believe that our motto is connecting and improving lives. But we were improving lives. All the time we improve lives. So I can go on like this, but it also delivered great financial results, excellent service quality, so on and so forth. Thank you for giving me up.
So my perspective on this, and I've been about 20 out of my 28 years has been in the IT outsourcing industry. So some of the comments that Umar mentioned will resonate. Pre-pandemic, right, working from home, it was in existence, but not to the level that it is today. And if we were supporting any financial services clients, it was next to impossible, right? There were a lot of conditions on potential data breaches and this security and that security. But having said that, When COVID happened, in 3 days, EY Global Delivery Services, 100% of the people moved to work from home, like the rest of the, our colleagues in different companies. And there were concerns around productivity, onboarding, but when you're thrown with a challenge, right, you leverage technology to help you in that. Let's switch 3 years down the line. Pandemic is over, and hybrid work is a reality. Even today, there are very, very few organizations who have more than 10, on the IT side, who have more than 10% people coming to office. Yeah, leadership is coming, but if you ask your millennials to come, I'm sure you're going to have an attrition which you've never heard of. Has the work suffered? The answer is no. It's been the biggest, last 2 years has been the biggest year of growth for the business. Has there been a disproportionate increase in IT breaches or data leakages? The answer is no. We measured productivity. Initially, for the first 6 months, we measured productivity because there was general fear that productivity will drop. We actually had an 8% improvement in productivity. Why? Because through collaboration tools, people are more accessible. Right? Now, how do you combine all that with wellness benefits which have kicked in? So I see that we have actually reached a stage which was not believable earlier, new ways of working, which are much more sustainable, less impacting on the environment. And these were some artificial barriers that we had put around ourselves, which actually COVID has demolished the myth. So I think it's actually put in place a complete sustainable agenda that it is possible to work and live with lesser resources that are available to you. So,
I'll continue the theme, given the passion we all sort of showed on that. We've now had millennials come up with the Great Resignation. We have seen the emergence of moonlighting. There is a new talent market out there that's so different for firms, across the spectrum, from IT to professional services, logistics to hard, heavy engineering. How do you, as leaders in your organization, balance this for the future? Because we have seen the last 3 years, and I think the trend, as we all see, will be work from anywhere. It will be persisting with us for the future. So what's your message? And maybe Arun will start with you and go in the reverse out of this time.
Yeah. So our firm's view is that we will continue to operate in a hybrid mode. This is what the millennial workforce requires. We know moonlighting is an issue, but moonlighting is an issue that can be prevented with better technology and monitoring, right? So it's not easy to change the expectations of this workforce. Now we have to figure out ways to manage this workforce. A Great Resignation, of course, now things are tempering down, and of course attrition is flattening out and plateauing, and all that stuff is there. But clearly, this workforce or this age group has certain expectations. And I think the onus is on organizations to figure out ways to meet the expectations of this workforce rather than the other way around. And there are enough tools to make it happen. That's my view.
I have a little different point of view, and very simple. When we were in trouble, the same people helped us. Like today, he talked about outsourcing. We outsource lots of IT vendors. So the IT vendors will put you on one particular project, second particular project. So when people move from projects to projects, they have realized that they get much more exposure and experience. And they're very happy. It helps them, it helps the organization. But when the same thing the employee does, as long as it's not in conflict, see, there are two very, very clear rules. Your employer has employed you for a whole time. If your employer gives you permission, you can do it. Second, it should not be in conflict. And third, it should not be remunerative. So many times you should help. In fact, we encourage our people, go and see what the other people are doing. What is the competition doing? And that's how we learn. I think that is the way one should look at it.
Yeah, thank you. Great Resignation or attraction, time to attract, is the way you look at it. Because we also felt the pinch. We were 6%. We were feeling very happy. Went up to 12% now. Although it is low, but within Blue Dart it was very high. But we are looking, my talent head is sitting here, and we're looking at attracting talent, because those who were furloughed will not go back to their organizations again. They were furloughed. So there's a floating talent out there to pick up. And I can see my talent head smiling. So we're looking at more millennials, more management trainees, so on and so forth. Thank you.
You see, when you are facing a phenomenon which is 1 in 100 years, 1919-20 Spanish flu and then 2019-2020 pandemic, you will have certain unknown situations arising. In one of my employee town hall, someone asked me that we are having so much of attrition. What is your thought about it? I said, first thought is that we have to accept there will be attrition. Let's accept. Second is that we have to understand the value chain where we are operating. We are a tier 1 global leader in IT services, and we compete with fellow tier 1 IT services providers, but there are tier 2, tier 3 IT services providers are there for whom I am a value creator. Okay, so the second thing is that, you try and instead of trying to omit the line which has become bigger, try to draw a bigger line, means set up a situation where you are able to induct a lot of people. Just now, as he said, more management trainees and things like that. But I believe that this phenomenon is temporary. It is not a permanent. There is no replacement to fundamental, principles of business or fundamental principles of professionalism. There is no replacement to that. It is going to remain. It was there during my father's and our grandfather's time, and it is also now, and it is going to be during our son and our grandson's situation. There is no replacement. This is a temporary phenomenon. COVID taught us. Then I remember when COVID came in, shortage of sanitizers, shortage of masks. Okay, and it simply vanished in few weeks' time. We did not even talk about it because we collectively upgraded ourselves to face the demand. Same country, same set of people, same resources. We were not making any masks and so on and so forth. So in a very manpower-intensive industry like IT that I belong to, the only way is that we need to draw a bigger line. The other point, what Arun said just now, is on the way of working. I fundamentally believe that a hybrid way of working is the way forward. It is environmentally sustainable. The measurement is to be on output than measurement on how many hours that you are clocking. I remember before pandemic, there were IT organizations who had a system which could say whether you are online or not and for how many hours you are online. How does that make a difference? You are online for 10 hours and really working for 1 hour. So these are the things which has changed. And I honestly, if you ask me, I don't see any disruption. I only see that there is a situational challenge. Again, I go back to my first statement, business is all about correcting challenges. And we as leaders and our leaders in our team and everybody's team here, they will rise up to this challenge and we will correct this challenge, as simple as that.
With the eye on the clock, 30 seconds to each one of you, and we'll start with Arun. This is not you as the leader or any of you as the leader, but as an individual. One or two things that you would like to share that has made your journey towards green, your journey towards social commitment come alive, something that we can draw inspiration from. So Arun, and then, yeah.
I think hello. Yeah, one is personal well-being is also an equal, we have to really take care of ourselves in the work that we are doing. I think we're not spending too much time on our own personal well-being. My request, since we've got a lot of people here, I think that is something that we should truly focus on. And when people throw questions that, again, it's work or work-life balance, to me, it's again not an either or. So do take care of your personal well-being.
Yeah, I kind of believe it's here to stay. Everybody wants to get back in our business, and we're almost there, 90%. But personally, I think things have changed permanently. We know we all became stronger. We are all stronger. We can deal with anything now, right? We forget 1 year ago we were fighting for lives. We thought we were risking lives when we went out. Probably the next time we are ready for that change. And all of us are ready for that change, more equipped. It's a learning curve. That's where I'd leave it, yeah.
I would still focus on sustainability. One of the things that we do in India or all across the world is we don't talk about real science. When you talk about renewable energy, for instance, or we talk about electricity being used, the second law of thermodynamics is very clear, that electricity is the most disciplined form of energy. So you cannot use electricity to heat something, but we misuse it. We should use the solar cells to heat water and use that water if required. But we are not telling people what the real problem is or how to solve it. For instance, renewable energy, we talk about what is the capacity. It is not the capacity. The sun doesn't shine the night. The wind doesn't blow all the time. So same 1 megawatt capacity of a solar cell or a wind-powered generator is much, much lower, number of times lower than a thermal power plant. India has the largest amount of coal deposits or second largest amount of coal deposits. We require base power. India is a growing country. The energy use has to be there. Also, because of the divide, we at upper levels use much, much higher energy than the people at lower levels. So sustainability has to come from us. We are the guys, if we reduce our energy usage by 10-20%, it will have a big impact. Rather than asking the people to put off their small bulb in their home, which is nowadays LED. So I believe we should teach people more science. That will help them and the earth. Thank you.
My take is that the only way to try and tackle any situation is to remain aware and make people aware. Let's be aware that we are the third largest carbon polluters or emitters in the world. Let's be aware. Okay. Let's be aware that fast fashion is the sixth most polluting, habit in this world. Let's be aware. That is the reason I am on a T-shirt, so I have got less carbon brought up on my body. But on a lighter note. But my point is that we first and foremost, do we have a mechanism or can we develop a mechanism to know what is our carbon score? India is still one country which has got per capita carbon emission is quite low than China or US or Germany or some other country. But do we know how much that our per capita carbon emission as an individual and what is that contributing? I saw one documentary where one person is literally calculating how much of carbon he is emitting every time he wakes up and goes to sleep. So my take is that let's be aware about your personal carbon score and try and work to reduce that carbon score consciously. And that is the only way that we would be able to, in a mass way, in most effective way, would be able to try and lower it as much as possible. Yeah, thank you very much.
There you have it, gentlemen and ladies. We have a very, very insightful session right now. And, thanks to all of you. It was truly brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to request all our speakers to please be on the stage. And if I could please invite once again Sharad Gupta, the co-founder and COO Team Marksmen Network, to please also present a token of gratitude to all of our speakers. First up to Mr. Arun Batra. So first up to Mr. Arun Batra. To Mr. Balfour Manuel. To Mr. Shankar Jadhav. To Mr. Umar Ali Sheikh. And to our wonderful session moderator, Mr. Swayamjit Mishra. Well, let's have all of you come together for a group photograph as well. And Sharad, I'm going to request you to please join all of our panelists for a quick group photograph.